Hear me and see me? All right, perfectly. Yeah, my camera wasn't working. So I'm doing a session on winning the inner game of business. And my first question for you is this. Do you think it's important to win the inner game of business? Is it important to win the inner game of business? If you want to grow a successful company, do you think it is critical to win the inner game of business? Hey there, delise, Diaz. All right, I had a little technical difficulty, but now if you can hear me and see me on Instagram, let me know. Streaming, by the way, for those of you who have a business, a really good tool is StreamYard to be able to stream on multiple platforms. So I'm going to cover three things that you need to really shape in order to grow business. If you have a business, let me know what kind of business it is and where you are from. All right. Hey there, Holly. So as many of you know, I work with thousands of business owners, training them on how to scale their business. And that's from startups all the way through to billion-dollar companies. And one of the things that keeps coming up over and over and over again is the importance of having your own inner game right? And so what is the inner game of business? Like, what is the inner game? So maybe you can type in the chat, what is the inner game? Is it just about attitude? Like, what is the inner game? Hey there, Andy and Amy and Jenny and Allison, right? So what is the inner game? You know, a lot of times we talk about the inner game as it's some kind of a mystical thing. But we know that our mindset's important. We know that there are two types of mindsets, right? One is a growth mindset, and a growth mindset is the type of mindset where you're always looking to grow and develop and find out how you can, versus a fixed mindset saying, this is how things are, therefore, here is what I can do or can't do. So is the inner game important in building your business? So Frank, data, knowing yourself. Well, part of in the inner game is knowing yourself. So Maria says, subconscious mind. Sarah says goals. Prashnath, being mindful. Right? Emmett says the philosophy to attract the universe. Well, there's really nothing to attract, Emin, because we are in the universe and the universe is in us. It's like a fish is in water, doesn't need to attract water. It's in water, right? So think about the inner game as a compilation or comprised of your focus, your attention, your beliefs, your habits, your paradigms, right? Your beliefs, your habits, your paradigms. What about emotional control? Is emotional control part of your inner game? If you don't have the ability to control your emotions while you are building a business, do you think that you will be a victim of circumstances, or will you control the circumstances? Right? And by the way, if you just joined, we're talking about winning the inner game of business, right? Winning the inner game of business. Now, here's a question I want to ask you. By the way, if you're not a business owner and you don't want to build a business, today's session is not for you. This is specifically about, building a business and winning the inner game of business. When you start out to grow your business, or you reach 50,000 or 100,000 or 250,000 or $1 million, what really gets in the way of business owners growing their business? What really gets in the way? Is it because they're lacking the knowledge and skill that they don't know how to get to the next level? Right? Is it that they don't believe in themselves, so they limit their success? Is it that they have disempowering habits? Is it that they don't feel they are worthy of achieving their goals? Does self-worth have anything to do with how much you will grow your business? right? Do you think self-worth has anything to do with how big your business will grow? Do you think you will ever grow a business that is bigger than your own self-image and self-worth? Right? Think about this. I'm talking about the inner game, right? I'm talking about the inner game. So Holly says, you know, it is huge. Hey there, Philip. Nice to have you on, right? So if you have a goal of whether it's hitting 50,000 or 100,000 or 250,000 or a million or 10 million, do you think you will ever reach those levels if your self-image, self-worth, and self-esteem is smaller than your vision? No way. No way. Because even if or when you achieve the success, you will sabotage it. Why? Pay close attention to one of the key responsibilities of your brain. Do you like this, by the way? Pay close attention to what I'm going to show you about your brain. It is a self-regulating organism that makes sure, pay close attention, that your outside world of results, the number of clients you have, the amount of money you make, the amount of money you keep, matches 100%. Your outside results must match 100% your hidden self-image of yourself. And in this particular case, your financial set points that you have of what you believe you deserve. Right? Right? And Jay Wavy, I don't eat steak. I'm vegan. Right? So if your goals for your business, all right, are greater than your self-image, all right? If your goals are greater than your self-image, you have to augment your self-image. All right? All right? And so Dark Wolf, thank you so much. And I invite you to leave if you don't like what I'm sharing. That is a beautiful opportunity that you have right now, is to say goodbye. All right? And so if you want to learn about winning the inner game, stick around. All right? So when we're talking about the inner game, all right, we're talking about the inner game, we have to make sure that whatever goals that we have, okay, let's say your goals are up here for your business, we have to make sure that A, we have the beliefs that it's possible, all right, it's possible to achieve those goals. That means we have to make sure that our conscious and subconscious beliefs, okay? And to my team, can you please remove Dark Wolf from our Instagram and just block them? Thank you. So we have to make sure that our beliefs match our vision. We have to make sure that our self-image matches the vision that we want. We have to make sure that our habits match the vision that we want. And we have to make sure that we take consistent, inspired answers every single day. And by the way, in about 15 minutes or so, I'll do some Q&A. So when we're talking about self-image, self-worth, self-esteem, beliefs, habits, what we want to do is plan a little bit every day to create winning the inner game, right? And we win the inner game not by just thinking about the inner game. We win the inner game by deliberately choosing the beliefs, the self-image, the habits that we need to implement every single day. When I was very, very early on in business, when I got into real estate 40 years ago, and I've been out of real estate now for many, many years, but when I got into real estate, every day, in addition to looking at my goals for how much I wanted to achieve, how many people I wanted to help, etc., what I would do is I would sit at my desk every day and I would see myself achieving the goals that I wanted to achieve. I would read out affirmations, all right, of exactly what I needed to believe in order to believe that. Does that make sense? I would write out what habits that I need to develop and reinforce in order to achieve the vision, the goals that I wanted. So every day I invested a little bit of time on my inner game. And yes, Irene, deliberately choosing initially, right? We're just behaving in ways that we learned from our parents, our teachers, our school, our friends, our family. And we developed these neural patterns that became part of our identity and our character. And we developed the stories, the reasons, the excuses, and the proper behaviors to achieve what it is that we wanted to achieve. So every day I used to invest just a few minutes, 15 minutes a day, 20 minutes a day, to create the inner game of success around my business. And I was 19 when I started this. Does this make sense? If you like this, give me a like or a love. Because if you don't win the inner game, you're never going to win the outer game. So even when you know what to do, even if you know how to do it, if you don't know how to win the inner game, then guess what's going to happen? You may achieve some success, but then you will sabotage your success and you'll keep getting stuck. So let me take one or two questions. I'm going to give you another side of this if you're a business owner. By the way, if you're a business owner, let me know what your business is. And I'll answer a couple of questions. So if you have a question, type it into the chat below on whichever platform you want. So I've got one from Julia. Says, if you don't have a business yet, can this program help? Well, which program? This right now or the Business Breakthrough Challenge that I'm doing April 22nd? If any of you want to learn with me, I'm doing a Business Breakthrough Challenge on April the 22nd for 5 days. I'll be doing between an hour and a half to 3 hours a day of training on how to grow any business, even if it's a new one. And my team will put up a link somewhere on here. I've taught over 10,000 business owners how to grow their businesses methodically by winning their own inner game, but also learning how to win the game of their clients' inner game as well. All right, so if you want to understand that, just click on the link that my team will provide you. Another question from Instagram, all right, is the fancy girl. How can I get thinking about the outcome? Some practical tools, please. So fancy girl, what if you wrote down the outcome that you wanted? So if you took the outcome and you wrote down in a simple manner, I'm so happy and grateful for the fact that I've achieved, and write down all the things that you've achieved in the future, but make it in present tense. And if you start to see yourself achieving that every day, and you start to ask yourself a question, how can I achieve that? And you create a plan for it, and you're focused on that every single day. Do you think that might activate the motivational center in your brain? Do you think that might activate the behavioral center in your brain? Do you think it might activate the Einstein part of your brain that is responsible for helping you figure out how you can? Well, the answer is that's exactly how you start. So Rita's Ethiopian Cuisine says, how do I improve my self-image? That's a great question. Do any of you want to know how to improve your own self-image? Do any of you want to improve your own self-image? Right? So ask yourself a question. Where in your brain is your self-image? Right? And the answer is it's in every cell. And here's a question for you. Were you born with a self-image? Were you born with a self-image? I think you'll agree, no, you weren't born with a self-image. Were you born with any beliefs? Were you born with any habits? Were you born with any fears? Were you born with any ideas about anything? The answer is no. So you developed, right? You developed a self-image, you developed self-worth, you developed self-esteem. And in some cases, your self-image is disempowering you. Your self-image is destructive. Your self-image is limiting you. So how could you, let's see if we can get some audience participation, right? How could you, okay, based on the latest neuroscience, develop a more improved, upgraded, better self-image? If your brain is made up of 100 billion brain cells, and those brain cells, based on neuroplasticity, are creating new connections, right? Your brain is creating new connections based on neuroplasticity, your brain's plastic ability to create new connections. How can you upgrade to a new, improved self-image? Can anybody guess? So Susanna says affirmations. Yes, you could write out affirmations. Fred says reframe old habits and beliefs. You can do that. Could you visualize an upgraded, augmented self-image? Is it possible that visualization, all right, is it possible that visualization is simulation? Is it possible that visualization is simulation? And Andrea and Alan, please remove Dark Wolf again. Thank you. And so is it possible that visualization is simulation, and block Dark Wolf so he or she cannot get back on? Is it possible that visualization activates neurons in the brain that wire together, and if you repeat that wiring, those neurons that become stronger override the neural networks or patterns that have been strong in the past? So we can use affirmations to do that. We can use visualization to do that. Can we use a form of visualization called mental contrasting, where we see and feel our old self-image and we create a new self-image that we want? Well, what if we wrote out a new self-image that we wanted? What if we wrote out affirmations that we wanted for that? What if we started to visualize a new self-image? What if we created 3 behaviors a day that if we took those actions, we would start to enforce or reinforce a new pattern? And so Jackie is correct, right? Is you create a new story, and part of the new story is your new self-image. Based on how the brain works, this is how you win the inner game. You don't allow the inner game, all right, that is your habits right now to control you. You use mindfulness to be aware, and awareness is what gives you choice, and choice is what gives you the freedom that you want. But you have to deliberately choose what it is that you want. And then you have to override. Think about this. Do you upgrade your cell phone software? Do you upgrade your computer software? Of course you do. Well, what about upgrading your brain software? Right? If your brain, all right, created these neural networks, patterns that got reinforced, and let's say that's your brain software, why not deliberately and consciously evolve yourself now? All right? So there you go for that question. All right? So Melissa Lynn Berard asks, what part of the brain is responsible for the inner game? There isn't one part of the brain that's responsible for the inner game. The brain is an organism that works together, multiple processing networks and circuits that work together. However, Melissa, when we're talking about what part of the brain controls most of your life, it's the subconscious part of your brain. It's the part of your brain that is right now, all right, the part of your brain that is right now digesting your food, creating new nails, making your hair grow. It's the part of your brain that runs automatically without your thinking. So when you think about 3% of our brain is used for conscious decision making, but 97% of our brain is used for automatic processing and to activate the behaviors that match our beliefs, to activate the behaviors that line up with our self-image, to activate the behaviors that are ingrained in the habitual part of our brain called the striatum, all right, and the hippocampus, which is connected together with, which is our part of our memory center. So we are operating automatically as part of our brain's third hierarchy to conserve energy. Does that make sense, Melissa? Is this helpful to you? So I'm going to shift for just a moment. All right. So if you're growing a business, and this session is all about, winning the inner game of business, the reason, 85% of businesses fail within 3 years isn't because how to grow a business isn't available. We know how to grow a business. We know how to make an extra 10,000 or 50,000 or 100,000 or a million or 10 million. We know how to do that. It's getting you to do it that's the harder problem. But let's shift for just a moment. For those of you that want to join me for some deep training over 5 days, I have a business breakthrough challenge coming up April 22nd. Each day for 5 days, I'm going to do between an hour and a half to 3 hours of training, depending on whether you want to be in the general group or the VIP group. And I'm going to walk you through not only how to win your own inner game, but how to market better, how to sell better, how to structure all of your sales and marketing so you're using the latest in neuromarketing and neuro sales. And you don't have to pay me $10,000 an hour, which is what my private clients pay me. You just sign up for the Business Breakthrough Challenge. The investment is $47 to join. And there's a little bit additional fee for the VIP, which you'll see when you click on the link that my team will put you there. And this is only if you're serious about growing your business. If you're, you've got a business as a hobby and you don't want to make an extra $1,000 or $10,000 or $100,000, this is not for you. But if you are a business owner that really wants to learn how to grow your business, I will show you exactly how to grow your business. And did you get that stuff printed for me? I need it. All right. So let me shift to another side of this as well. And are you enjoying this, by the way? Are you enjoying this? Let me know if you are enjoying this. Hey, Cheryl. Hey there, Amanda. Hey there, Emick. Nice to see you here. So let's shift to just a moment. And I want you to ask yourself this question. If you're a business owner, is it a benefit? Is it having the edge if you also understand how to activate a prospect or a buyer's decision-making part of their brain? Do you think if you learned how to make your message, your product, your service, your offer stand out so that prospects, people who haven't bought your product or service yet, do you think it is beneficial to understanding which part of their brain should you activate so that they first pay attention to you? Think about this for just a moment. I want to get you to think like a marketer and somebody who understands selling. And selling is doing something for somebody, not to somebody. Do you think it's important when somebody is having, you and me and everybody else having 50,000 thoughts a day, plus how many messages do you think that we hear and listen to every single day, whether it's on social media, radio, television, billboards? How many messages do you think we hear a day? Do you think we see hundreds of messages a day? If you think it's hundreds or thousands, let me know. Right? Do you think people see, hey there, Gia, I miss you? Do you think it's possible that everybody is overwhelmed with messages? Right? Everybody's got so many messages, right? That everybody's trying to reach them. And especially since, the world has been on quarantine, the amount of messages that people are seeing, right, is huge. And so people have become numb to messages, right? Why? Because our brain deletes and distorts anything that isn't critical for our attention right now. Our attention units, okay, which we call it, are being taxed. And we have to understand how to create messages so that people pay attention to us. And so, Albert, you're 100% right. okay, we have got attention blindness, it's called. Attention blindness. And we basically just stop watching stuff. We just stop listening to stuff, and we scroll, click, 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 only when something really stands out. So what are we learning in the world of neuroscience, all right, and in the world of neuropsychology around marketing and selling? Let's get it to marketing and selling, right? And Phil Gordon, yeah, people are completely overwhelmed, all right? But I want you to think about this for a moment. Let's say you have a problem that you are trying to solve. It could be a health problem, a financial problem, relationship problem, career problem, a business problem that you are trying to solve. And that problem is consuming some of your mind and some of your emotions, which means that you are consuming, your brain power to try and solve this problem, right? Now, what do we know about the human brain? I'm going to ask you a question. Type in the answer. What do you think we do more about? Do we do more about moving away from or solving a problem or a pain that we have, or do we do more to gain pleasure? Which one, right? Which one? Do we do more to avoid pain, or do we do more to gain pleasure? Type in your answer for me so I could see the answers. Right? So do we do more to avoid pain, or do we do more to gain pleasure? So Raphael says avoid pain. Jackie, avoid pain. Right? So biologically, neurologically, our brain is seeking for things, whether it's online or offline, in the newspaper, on TV. We do more to avoid pain than we do to gain pleasure, which means that if you're doing any type of marketing, would it make any sense to understand whatever it is that your product or service is? Would it make any sense to understand who is this product really going to help, and what is the biggest pain that they are experiencing right now that my product, my program, my service can help them avoid or get rid of? So one of the things, right? One of the things to consider in your marketing, in the positioning of your product or service, on your website, on landing pages, on videos, on wherever you want, is to understand the psychology of the brain's decision-making process. And if we do more to avoid pain than we do to gain pleasure, it makes sense, at least for some of your marketing, to know what is it that your product or service helps your ideal clients move away from or eliminate that may be causing them any pain or discomfort. When you think in those terms, it's not that you shouldn't have marketing that moves people towards what they want, but from a purely neurological perspective, neuromarketing, people will do more to avoid the pain that they're in or the discomfort they're in than they will to gain the pleasure. So make sure some of your marketing understands what is it that they're moving towards. So here's a simple little exercise. My product or service helps people, okay, move away from, eliminate, get rid of, make sure it doesn't happen, and write down all of the things that your product or service will help people do. Does that make sense? When we're talking about marketing, marketing is getting people's attention first, right? When we have 50, 100,000, thoughts, 50,000 thoughts a day, plus thousands of messages a day, you want to be able to clear through the clutter and the noise. And if somebody is thinking and feeling, okay, shitty, somebody is experiencing pain or discomfort that is real or that they're imagining might happen, when you create a message that resonates with that at the mental and emotional level, you are going to be able to activate a deeper part of their brain that is there to solve their own problems. That makes sense. That's some neuromarketing and neurosales. So not only do you have to win your own inner game, there's an entire process of winning the inner game of how your prospects make a decision to buy. There's an inner game of how to market properly, both avoidance of, pain or discomfort, but also to moving towards. But you have to do it in a proper sequence. And if you're in the right sequence, then you are going to be able to get more people to pay attention to you. When you have a business, you have to understand that your marketing determines whether people will pay attention to you. And you could be marketing even at an event, even on Zoom if you're talking to people, right? And so all of your communication, your headlines, your sales process, the way that you present your product or service, when you do it in a way that people are activated at the deeper limbic part of their brain and then they justify it logically, your marketing starts to work where you can actually generate 2 or 3 or 4 times more leads. You can give people the information that they need based on how their brain processes information, and then you can create the opportunity for them to buy your product or service the way that it makes sense for them. Does that make sense? Does that make sense to you? I'm giving you some of the things that I've learned in building over 5 multi-million-dollar companies, billions in sales over the years, and also helping over 10,000 business owners. Most business owners are, they're trying to solve the Rubik's Cube, not understanding that there is an algorithm, to solve the Rubik's Cube. You don't just sit there and try to figure it out. You learn the algorithm and then it becomes easier. Does that make sense? All right. So if you want to join me and you want me to mentor you for 5 days, I have a business breakthrough challenge that starts April the 22nd. Last time that we did it, it basically sold out in less than 10 days. There is a small investment. We'll be learning between an hour and 15 minutes to 3 hours every day for 5 days. I'm going to give you, let me share with you what we're going to be covering in those 5 days. On day 1, we're going to be going into understanding the neuroscience and neuromarketing and sales. And I'll show you how to activate the emotional center of your buyer's brain and the logical centers of your buyer's brain. And I'll show you the exact way that your buyers are making decisions whether to look at your product or service or your competitions. On day number 2, I'm going to help you develop a perfect client profile, an avatar, so that you know exactly how to target him or her online or offline. And we're going to go deep into mapping that out. And I'll show you exactly how to create world-class marketing. That's on day number 2. On day number 3, we're going to show you exactly how to create the best marketing and sales messages so people will pay attention to you. And I'll show you how to activate the emotional buttons, the buying hot buttons in your prospect's brain and in their emotional self. And we'll talk about how to create headlines that people pay attention to. On day number 4, I'm going to be showing you lead generation and marketing strategies for you to be able to understand where to find your buyers and where to put your messages, whether you're using money to invest or not. All right. And we'll show you some of the best ways to market. And then on day number 5, I'll show you exactly how to create a sales process map. And if you want predictability, would you agree that you have to create a system to create predictability? right? If you want predictability, you have to create a system to create a predictability. I will show you a sales process map on how to create a plan for your business that if you're new, you'll be able to get to your first $50 or $100,000. If you're already at $100,000, you'll be able to get to $250. And if you are at $250, you'll be able to get to $500 or $1 million or more. All right, so there are 5 days that'll pack. It's almost like a small business growth mastery program, all right, in 5 days, all right? And so you'll get to invest many, many hours with me, learning directly from me, all right? And so the link will be in the chat. I'm going to take a few more questions. If you want to learn how to grow your business predictably, create consistent leads and consistent sales and revenues, then I offer to mentor you starting April the 22nd. All right, so click on the link. It is one of the best investments you will make in yourself and in getting your own mindset right, but also learning how to market and sell properly and how to create a system that works for you instead of you working consistently, for a business, okay? And some of you have already taken the program that I did last year, and so that's going to be a great program for you. Okay, so can. All right, so who else has got some questions? Let me see over here. So Ironheart says, does this program apply to MLM also? Yeah, this program is for anybody who has a business. If you're selling to humans, products or services, online or offline, then you need to be understanding marketing and selling. So yes, this will be great for anybody who's in the MLM industry. So I'm in the cannabis industry. I only work with doctors. How can I change my image with doctors so they don't think I'm selling marijuana? I need to change the way they perceive me. So Frank Data, it doesn't make a difference what you are selling. You're not selling marijuana. You're selling solutions, okay, to people. And marijuana and hemp, CBD, etc., has been proven to help many, many, many of the issues that people use. So your self-image, it doesn't make a difference if somebody's a doctor. Doctors looking for solutions for their patients. So I work with one of the largest cannabis integrators in the country, so I know the industry well. So Lynn Johnson says, are you ever too old for this? Yes, Lynn, the answer is you are too old when you believe that you're too old. And you're never too old if you don't believe that. So let me share with you a story, Lynn. Several years ago, a woman by the name of Kat Rama Brooks, was a wedding planner. She was 80 years young, and her business was tanking. She was thinking of going out of business. And she got involved in one of my programs and started to work on her own mindset, started to upgrade her skill set. And over the next 12 months, at 81 years young, she made $247,000. So that should answer your question, all right? All right, so Phil Gordon, would this program be suitable if the business activities are on hold due to COVID and lockdowns? The answer is yes, Phil. And the reason is because you want to get all of your systems and processes in place so that when you are able to start your marketing and selling again, then you already know what to do and how to do it, because there is work that you have to do to set it up, of course, right? All right, let's talk about Cheryl. Hi there, Cheryl Parker. What pain is possible client trying to avoid that you could help move away from? Cheryl, I'm not sure if that's a question. So Annika, will you talk about the mindset around lead generation? By the way, I'm looking at 3 screens, everybody. All right. And by the way, if you like this, share this as well, please. So the mindset around lead generation, Annika. So here's a question that I want to ask every one of you if you have a business. Are there people who need your product or service? Are there people who need it? And are there people who want it right now? And if the answer is yes, then isn't it your job to get your message, whether it's face-to-face, on the phone, at events when you can go to events, on Zoom, whether it's spending $10, every other day on a Facebook ad or Instagram ad or YouTube ad, isn't it your responsibility to get in front of prospects, right? There's a formula that is a really easy formula to understand. And here's the formula. Ready? Somebody type it in. Maybe every one of you type this in. Traffic times conversion equals revenue. Traffic times conversion equals revenue. And let me share with you what that means. If you can get enough people to look at your product or service, whether it's through marketing or your selling process, and you can sell, get people to buy it, that's going to equal revenue, right? So do you think it might make sense as a business owner that somebody has to wake up every day asking, how am I going to generate more leads today, more prospects today? Would you agree that's one of the indicators of whether your business will succeed or not? Is it possible that if you don't focus on leads, you can't be expecting revenue? So traffic or leads times your ability to convert those leads, to get them to say yes to your product or service, is one of the things you or somebody on your team has to think about every single day. Now, if you're not doing it, who is? And if nobody's doing it, you're going out of business, or you're going to be very, very limited in your income. So one of the mindset pieces is to come up with, how am I generating leads today? Now, here's another thing that I want you to do. Take this equation, all right? And I've only got time for one more question after this. So take this equation. How much money do you want to make? Can you type in how much money you want to make into the chat? I'm going to show you a little exercise that every one of you should do, and you should know the answer to this. Type in how much money you want to make in the next 12 months, all right? I'm going to take a look at your comments. How much money do you want to make in the next 12 months? All right? Let me take a look at this on a variety of different channels, all right? So is it 120,000 a year, millions, $100,000, right? 1 million, Tracy, right? Tina, 500,000. Okay. Jackie, 250,000, 500,000, 1 million. So a lot of you got some big goals. I love it. Great. How many sales must you make? So let's say you want to sell $100,000. You want to make $100,000. Do you know how many sales you need to make in order to reach $100,000? Do you know how many sales you need to make of your product or service? Do you know that answer off the top of your head? If you know that answer on the top of your head, you're in the top 1% of business owners that knows his or her numbers. If you don't know how many sales you need to make, okay, then when would now be a good time to know how many sales do you need to make? Now I'm going to take you to one more equation. So you have the number that you want to make. That's your end result. You know the number of sales you need to make, okay? How many prospects do you need to see your product or service to sell the number of sales that you need to have, right? Business is math. And if you don't understand, okay, great, N-G-I-N-A, I'm not sure how you pronounce your name, right? So if you want to make $100,000 a year and you need to make 100 sales because you're selling a product for $1,000, okay, then how many leads or prospects do you need to be in front of, online or offline, to make those 100 sales? Great. So Cheryl says you need 1,000 extra leads a month. Cheryl, you better get busy figuring out how you're going to get 1,000 extra leads a month, right? Now, if you're not thinking like this, that's the mindset that you have to have in order to achieve your business goals. And if you don't do that, then you are using the drug of choice to build your business. Can you tell me what the drug of choice is to build your business? And this is a little bit of a joke. The drug of choice is hopium, right? Hopium. I hope and pray that I make that amount of money. Hope is not a good strategy for business growth. All right, so if you want to not use hopium and you don't want to use the inflammation disease of choice called excusitis, then I invite you to sign up for my Business Breakthrough Challenge, and I will show you exactly how to methodically, in an organized, detailed, simple fashion, grow your business. So stop using hope and prayer as your core strategy. Stop, giving yourself stories and excuses, because how to build your business, whether it's a product or service, and I don't care what industry it's in. I've helped over 10,000 business owners in multiple industries skyrocket their sales and profits. The link is going to be put into the chat on Instagram. Go to my bio, look at the Linktree link, and the first link there is to sign up. And if you want to bridge the gap between who you are as a business owner and what you know, and who you need to become, and what you need to know to really achieve your goals and dreams, get committed to your own growth, all right? And get committed to bridging that gap by upgrading your knowledge, upgrading your skills, upgrading your beliefs and your habits so that they match the goals that you have. Anything less than that, you're hoping and praying that your business grows. All right, I have to hop off. If you've enjoyed this, give me a like or a love or a share. Share this as well. Thank you, Gia. I hope you're doing well. Gia, where are you in the community? I've missed you. All right. And so sign up for the Business Breakthrough Challenge. It starts April the 22nd. 5 power-packed days with incredible, I'll give you workbooks, I'll give you PowerPoints, and I'll give you a blueprint to follow. A blueprint. Have an awesome day. I appreciate you. And thanks for sharing this. Sign up for the Business Breakthrough Challenge. Bye. I'll be doing this every day a little bit for the next several days.